Okay, let's have a look at some of the arty things you can do with your images here in the Quick Edit workspace, using effects, textures and frames, all of which are accessible from the task pane at the bottom of the Quick Edit workspace. Now let's try it out on this photo, which I took in a place called Wentworth. Now to apply a one-click effect to this photo, I'll go down to the bottom of the Quick Edit workspace and click Effects in the panel at the bottom. And that changes the column on the right to the Effects column, where you'll see previews of some built-in one-click effects, as they'll look on the photo. Now if you hover over a thumbnail, so I'll hover over this one, just wait a second, it'll come up with a little tooltip, and that's its name. That's Deep Copper, this one is Pencil Sketch, etc. Now you just click to try one out, so I'll click on Toy Camera and click on that one. Oh, that's interesting. Try that one. Oh, that's a nice black and white. Let's try one up here. Try that copper one. Yeah, and I quite like that one. Yep, I think I can live with that. Next, I want to add a texture on top of this effect. Now to add a texture, I'll go down and click the Textures button on the bottom task pane. And here we can see some preloaded one-click textures. Now I can click on one of these, see what they look like. Not keen on that one. Have a look at that one. That's alright, looks a bit like snow. But never mind. I'll have a look at this one, which I quite like, and it's called Scratched, and it does add to the oldie worldy sort of sepia tone effect. So if I click once on Scratched, I get a scratched look, and it actually puts a little bit of a vignette round as well, which I think looks quite nice. Now I want to add a frame. So once again, I'm going to go down to the bottom taskbar and click on the little icon Frames. And this brings me up some preset frames. Now the one I like is this one here. And if I just hover, it's called the Aged one. And if I click on that, it puts me that frame around that image. Now in this image, if I click, I can move this image around within the frame. I can zoom it if I like, but first I've got to show the bounding box. Now I can do that if I go down to my tool options and put a tick in Show Bounding Box. Now what I've got to do is just grab one of these corner handles and just move it just a tiny bit, and when I let go I get the zoom slider. And now if I want, I can zoom it in and zoom it out, and I can still reposition it in the position I think's good, and then I click the tick. Now another thing I can do is, if I go right to the edge here in that white area and I click, and then I come back and I click just right over the edge of the frame, just there, I get a different bounding box. It looks quite similar, but it's a different one. Now I can move everything. I can move the frame and the image, the whole composition, all at one go. And again, if I grab a corner handle and drag it down, I can resize the whole image. Now down at the bottom we've got this little circle. If I hover just outside it, I get the rotate arrow, and I can click and drag to rotate that to a bit of an odd angle. And I quite like that. When I'm happy with that result, I can click the tick and accept it. Now if I want to have a look at it without that bounding box, then what I do again, I go to the tool options and I untick Show Bounding Box. Okay, if I'm happy with that as a result, all that's left is to save it out. So I'm going to go up to the File menu and click on Save As. I'm going to save it back into the same folder. It automatically adds that edited -1 after the file name, so it won't save over my original file. I'll save it out as a JPEG. I do want to include it in the Elements Organizer, and I do want to save it in a version set with the original. So when all that's done, I should just click the Save button. I'll accept the JPEG options, and there it is, all saved. Now if I close that down, it should take me back to the organizer, and here we can see I've got a version set. You can tell it's a version set because of this little symbol here, and if I click on that, I've got my original file and I've got my worked on file. So there we are, just some of the one-click art effects that you can add to your images in the Quick Edit workspace.